Hi everybody, it's Onyx here, and today I am bringing you part 2 of What If Deku Saved the Demon Queen. If you guys would actually like to add anything else to the story, or anything else at all, comment it down below in the comment section, Premier Chat, or in my Discord server which is linked down below. My Patreon, Twitch, and Twitter are all linked there as well. If you guys would actually like to be interested, you guys can follow me as well. I also have a second channel which I upload random stuff on, like Twitch highlights or what ifs, like what if Deku was in Monster Musume. If you guys can go over there and hit the subscribe button, I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers on my second channel. If you guys can hit that, I'd be highly appreciated. And also, I have a Twitch highlight channel which is linked down in the description down below. If you guys would actually like to see what happens on my Twitch without going on my Twitch, you guys, it's linked down there if you guys would actually like to see it. Without further ado, let's begin. By the way, one last thing I forgot to add before we start this video. I want you guys to spam the comments section with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all in separate messages all the way down. If we can actually get 1,000 comments on this video, I will do a 1-hour video of me doing What If Deku Saved the Demon Queen. And now we will begin. Let's begin where we last left off, or a couple of days before the entrance exam. Izuku was actually training his demon powers to see if he could actually bring it out, but the more he tried, the more he struggled. Izuku tried to whip out like form of dark electricity, dark flames, so on and so forth, but nothing worked. Izuku tried even harder and harder, but the more he got frustrated, the more his anger built up. As Yura actually tried to come to Izuku and comfort him, with Izuku just getting more and more frustrated every day, it didn't help that Izuku was getting frustrated. With this, he accidentally snapped at her, with her just saying, "Izuku, it's okay, don't worry, you'll get it eventually." Izuku just breathed out and just said, "Okay, I'm sorry for snapping at you, Yuri." Izuku breathed out. A couple of days have passed since then, as Izuku and Yuri was both walking with each other hand in hand to the entrance exam. As they both arrived there, as they both took in the sights of seeing the massive building known as UA High. As Izuku and Yuri both walked into the building, as Izuku and Yuri was both entering the room, as a man with little blondish, spikish hair came up to them and put his hand on his shoulder, telling them, "What the hell you doing here, Deku?" Bakugo said. As Izuku just turned around to him and said, "Well, I'm here the same reason as you, Bakugo. So, what are you touching my shoulder for?" Izuku said, nudging him off. "Don't nudge me off, you damn nerd," as Bakugo started to put some sparks and steam into Izuku's shoulder, replacing his hand back there. As this just infuriated Izuku, as Izuku just punched Bakugo in the stomach, knocking most of the wind out of Bakugo's lungs. Bakugo said, struggling for air. Bakugo said, as Izuku just turned around and said, "Stay out of my way, Bakugo, or this will be much, much worse for you." As Izuku just walked off, with Bakugo having his infuriated complex take over his mind. But Bakugo realized he couldn't charge at Izuku, struggling to actually even move even an inch from the impact. As Bakugo started to walking forward and started taking tiny steps from the agonizing pain that he felt in his lower stomach. As Bakugo arrived into the actual main room itself where they were taking the entrance exam, Bakugo tried to actually concentrate, but he couldn't even concentrate from the arriving pain in his stomach. As Bakugo finished the test with 5 minutes left to spare, knowing that he might have done bad, as Bakugo actually walked off that time, going to the actual talk show with President Mike and so on, as we come back to Izuku's point of view. As Izuku was sat there with Yuri on his left, them holding hands like in tandem, it was like they're inseparable, they were thinking in their head. As Izuku and Yuri was both listening to President Mike, as they would have heard a blue-haired boy stand up like Cannon having the normal conversation. Izuku would have tried to intervene, but Ida would have turned around and said to him, "What do you think you're doing here? Get out, you villain!" Ida shouted out loud, as Izuku just turned straight to him and said, "You better shut up, you fucking brat!" Izuku said, letting out the entire bits of his demon bloodlust accidentally, making most of the room and air pressure tense up and thicken. Everyone struggling to breathe. Even Prison Mike was having time struggling to breathe. As Yoda actually tugged on Izuku's shirt, telling him to sit back down. As Izuku complied with him relaxing his body as everyone started to breathe normally once again. As Izuku and Yuri both listened to Prison Mike's rest of his speech, as they went to their respective areas where they were going to train and go finish their exam, which is the physical portion. If you guys are wondering what's happening with Bakugo, he's recovered and he's moving around normally, but he is struggling to breathe, kind of. As Izuku's point of view came back around that shit, as Izuku was sitting there in B department with Yuri, I can't pronounce her name correctly, I do apologize, being in the opposite one to him, which might be A or B, I can't remember which one Izuku's in now. Jesus Christ, it's late. As Izuku and her was actually getting ready on opposite sides of the arena, getting ready to run, as Prison Mike was going to shout, "Go!" As Izuku spent no time, charged out one for all, and ran straight out. Izuku charged straight at the robots, smashing them as fast as he could, getting and racking up points, but not enough as we would think he would, because he only has 5% control. So he only has around about 20 or 30 points around this time. As the 0-pointer event would have stayed like canon, with Izuku smashing it with 100% of his power, getting around about 50 points, and also Araki will be getting the same points as well, because she saved Izuku from falling into his ass and hitting the ground a full pelt, snapping his neck. Izuku actually got saved by Araka, so Izuku actually managed to sit up on one back leg, laying on his back, panting heavily. "Thank you so much," Izuku said, panting. "No worries. Who is your name?" As Izuku just saw her throw up rainbows. Araka said, coughing up rainbows. As Izuku tried to get up, but realizing his whole body below was shattered, Izuku felt like he was crippled until Recovery Girl came around, as she healed Izuku, making him pass out from exhaustion from overusable healing of his stamina. As Izuku was took to the infirmary, as he had his little rest time in there with Recovery Girl just sitting there waiting to discharge him. 2 hours later, Yuri arrived, worrying about Izuku, where he would be. She saw him in the bed. The other thing that she did was just straight up dive on him. "Izuku, you meanie!" she said, jumping flat onto him with her breast piling into his face. Izuku said, waking up from the pressure hitting his stomach and chest. "Yuri, I can't breathe," Izuku said, struggling to breathe. "Not until you apologize to me, you big meanie, for not telling me you were here," she said, pouting with her cheeks inflating. "I'm sorry," Izuku said, as Izuku just bowed his head in shame. "There we go, that's what I wanted," she said, kissing him on the cheek very carefully. After that, she just blushed the same with Izuku. As the day went on like normal, with them going home, having chats here and there, until they got their acceptance letter into UA. Izuku managed to get second place, actually behind Yuri, with using her lightning quirk and everything in the actual exam, her racking up around about 120 with Izuku getting 110, which Izuku was shocked and annoyed at the same time, knowing that if he didn't stop to save Araka, he would have actually been able to get a little bit more points and got saved Araka at the same time. It annoyed him, but he was happy that his best friend in the whole wide world actually bet him in something. As the next day, Izuku and Yuri actually got ready as they went out their front doors and they met each other halfway to UA's campus buildings. As Izuku and Yuri both walked to their campus, Izuku brought up what class were they going to be in because Izuku never brought that up to her on vice versa. As they both said in unison, Class 1A. Izuku was shocked at that, knowing that Yuri actually was in Class 1A, but she never realized that Izuku was in as well, which they thought it was weird that they were both in the same class, so they thought it was like fate. Izuku and Yuri actually went to the actual Class 1A doors, realizing how it was massive, like canon, but instead of Yuri being there, you know what I mean, bro? As they both walked in through the front doors to see Bakugo and Ida arguing like canon. As Ida would have walked up to Izuku, telling him everything like the original, telling him that he's the better student than A. As Izuku would have just said, "It's fine, man, don't worry about it." As Izuku and Yuri actually went to go sit back down until a brown-haired girl came rocking up to Izuku in a rushing speed. "Hey, I know you. I can never forget that green hair anywhere. You're the boy who saved me," she said. As Izuku retaliated, saying, "You're the girl who threw up rainbows, right?" Izuku said. As Uraka just said, Why do people remember me like that?" she said in a very anime-like tone when she's depressed, as jokingly of course. As Uraka came out of her corner as Aizawa just peeked through the door. "Okay, class, everyone get ready. I'm your homeroom teacher, Aizawa. Get these clothes on and get to the goddamn changing room. I'm tired as fuck, so get there now." As everyone grabbed their sports uniform and actually went outside to start their physical exam. As Aizawa just told them everything like canon. "You guys are going to be going through some special training in UA, so I'm going to make sure with this, you guys are up to the test and ready for what's come in the future." Just like canon, Uraka would have raised her hand at this, stating that shouldn't they be going to the welcome ceremony, she said. As, "Yeah, we're meant to be going there now, aren't we?" Mina interjected. As Aizawa just interrupted them both like canon. "If you all want to be heroes, you better listen to me. We do everything different here. So you all better listen and not pay attention to some stupid old traditions." As Aizawa talked them through what they were going to do. As Aizawa threw a ball at Yuri, gesturing her to come to the front, as she complied. As she walked all the way to the front, Aizawa told her to throw the ball at 100% of her power and nothing less. As Yuri said, "You sure, Mr. Aizawa?" she said. "Yes, sure, go ahead." As she let loose and surrounded her body in flame of lightning power. As the only thing they could hear was a loud boom. As the ball was sent flying all the way 1,562 meters. As Aizawa's face was a bit surprised at the kid their age could actually throw a ball that powerful. As Aizawa would have just smirked at that, saying, "Good job, now next events." As every single event would have gone like canon, with Izuku getting insanely better than most of his peers, but still falling behind Ida just a tiny bit. As Yuri's turn came around for the race, racing against Momo in this counterpart of canon. As Yuri accelerated from Momo, getting first place in 0.2 seconds for her extra demon speed, surprising Aizawa, including Ida's ego being crushed into pieces. As for everything else, Izuku would have got 900 kg on the grip strength because of 5% more for all control, of course. I haven't explained that, but I will get to it very soon. As for Yuri, she would have broke the goddamn machine, devil strength. It's a bitch, trust me. As Yuri would have actually managed to get first place, Izuku getting third, and every single person same like canon, but in different areas of the area. Basically, Bakugo's point of view, him being pissed, the Pomeranian actually getting very bad to the point he literally charged at Izuku, wondering how he got a quirk like canon. But in this timeline, Bakugo would have been a little bit too fast for Aizawa to react. As Yuri would have saw this first, and she would have instantly knocked Bakugo onto the floor, making his neck crack just a tiny bit. The next crack would have actually killed him, but Yuri made sure to crack it to the point he went unconscious. As Yuri was standing on top of Bakugo's corpse. Well, not corpse, but he's unconscious basically. As Yuri stood up from Bakugo's sleeping body, let's just say that. As Aizawa would have asked Yuri if he was alright. Yuri would have replied saying, "Yeah, I've only knocked him unconscious. If I killed him, you would have probably expelled me and probably thrown me in prison," Yuri said. As Aizawa would have just sighed saying, "Oh, for God's sake." As Mr. Aizawa would have dragged Bakugo inside by his feet, dragging him and flinging him onto Recovery Girl's bed. As the day went as canon that day. I'm just gonna fast forward, I'm getting really lazy at this point. As the next day arrived to the Heroes vs Villain test. As Izuku and everyone was both sitting in their seats, as Yuri walked up to Izuku, having a little conversation with him, with Uraka and everyone else staring at them, thinking of certain areas of expertise of the romantic novels of Seven Dar. If you guys don't know, this is an Italian thing, but you guys might not know what it is. As Izuku and her both actually started talking a lot, as most of the students was thinking some certain stuff. Not in that way, you perverts. As Izuku was interrupted by a loud boom at the front door. "I am here in a bizarre position like usual." As All Might said that, everyone was screaming, "Oh my God, it's All Might! It's All Might! All Might! Oh my God, I hate it." As everyone else was just screaming out loud. Izuku and Yuri was both excited to see All Might in his Silver Age costume, but they're not too excited to the point they'll literally scream out loud with seeing All Might for a year, every single day. Make it seem like it was normal, like it was everyday contact. Like, of course they won't have a reaction as most of the students were. As All Might pressed a button on his remote controller, as All Might pulled out suitcases from the back of the walls, with all having numbers on it because side to their seat numbers. Izuku being 26, Bakugo 4th, everyone else is the same like canons of course. As everyone else was both walking outside to the actual changing rooms. As they were getting changed, they realized Izuku had weird symbols on his back, the ones they didn't have from yesterday. As most of the students were taken by Izuku. "Yo, Midoriya bro, what's that on your back?" What do you mean, Kirishima?" As Kirishima pointed to Izuku's back, seeing that there's weird markings formed on his back from yesterday, but they weren't there yesterday, Kirishima said, confused. As Izuku just looked at it in a mirror. "What the hell?" Izuku said. As Ida walked over. "What's up, Midoriya? What is wrong?" As Ida looked at Izuku's back. "You got tattoos? That's against school regulations!" Him doing the hand chop robot motion. As Aizawa would have overheard this, as Aizawa would have walked into the boys' changing rooms. "What's up, you sprats?" Aizawa said, looking over at Izuku. "Midoriya, when did you get tattoos?" "I didn't. I don't even know how I got them," Izuku said. "I was hanging out with Yuri, then we both went our separate ways. I went to sleep like normal, and I came here, and Kirishima just told me about this. I literally don't know how I got them," Izuku said. "Okay then, we'll talk about this later then," Aizawa said. As Izuku and everyone else came out of the changing rooms. Izuku's canon costume would still be here, but a little bit more darker green, I would say. As everyone else came walking out of the changing rooms, with some of the girls overhearing what happened in the boys' changing rooms. As some of the girls actually came up to Midoriya asking them why was they talking about markings on his back for. As Midoriya replied saying, "I don't know what you mean by that," Izuku said, trying to nervously laugh it off. But one of the girls actually went up to him and pulled up his hero suit at the back, seeing the symbols have gotten bigger from a couple of minutes ago, them leading up to Izuku's shoulder blades going up to his shoulders. As Ida came back over, seeing that the girls were harassing Midoriya. As Ida looked back over to Izuku's back. "Midoriya, the marks have grown again." "Wait, what? Wait, what do you mean?" As Ida would have shown Izuku with a picture on his phone. Okay, I seriously need to get this checked. As Izuku walked over to Aizawa, showing him his back. Aizawa was shocked, saying, "Okay, Midoriya, this is starting to creep me out now. Go to the recovery girl's office now just to see what's wrong with you right now." "Midoriya, go, now," Aizawa said, as Izuku ran over to recovery girl's office, having a checkup with Izuku's health and mental health becoming normal, as recovery girl was confused at this, wondering if it was just a quirk, as recovery girl would have done a quirk analysis test. She would have just concluded it to being One For All's vestiges, or One For All acting weird with his body for some reason. She would have told Izuku to go back to the class, with Izuku arriving at the monitor area to see everyone was doing their battles, as Yuri would have walked over to Izuku, handing him a ball. "Guess what, Izuku, you're on my team, I drew the ball for you," she said, as Izuku and her would have both said "yes" in unison, and mentally, of course, because they know each other's strengths and weaknesses. The Izuku and her would have both strategized on a plan, until they realized they were going against Todoroki and Ida, as the match would be in progress, as All Might and Aizawa both told Bakugo. What did I say Bakugo for? I meant Ida and Todoroki to go into the building and set everything up. 5 minutes later, once Izuku and Yuri actually planned out their trap, they both walked into the building, as they would have walked all the way around the first floor just to see nothing was there, as this was good and part of her first plan, as Yuri surrounded herself in little black lighting mist, as little bits of shards would have appeared in her hands, as she would have shouted, "Shining Lance!" as a giant lance would have been shoved into the walls of the area, creating little sludges crawling around the building, as this would have located where the bomb was. This making Yuri hold on to Izuku, as she would have told Izuku to hold on. Them being dragged into a little sludge-like creature type of thing. Them being transported to where the sludge is, on top. Izuku's first plan was a success, as Izuku ran to the bomb but was stopped by Todoroki and Ida's reciprocal burst and Todoroki's ice attack, as this would have made Izuku come to a halt, being stopped by the furious force of Todoroki's ice and kick from Ida, as Izuku and everyone who was watching at that very moment were surprised on Ida's and Todoroki's actually working together, with Todoroki being the edgelord goth that he is. People would think he would actually not be good at working together, but they would be wrong, as Todoroki kept on throwing ice at Izuku consistently. Izuku had no choice, however, as Izuku slipped up with his concentration, accidentally using 100% in his pinky finger, breaking it of course, but sending Todoroki and Ida flying back, the same with Yuri out of the window. Izuku had no choice, as Izuku instantly threw himself out the window, catching her, landing on his back, almost breaking it, but breaking the floor underneath him. As Izuku was saying, "Oh, my back," Izuku said, as Yuri came back up from unconsciousness and would have said, "Izuku, you okay?" she said, worrying about him, as she would have just cuddled next to him saying, "Izuku, Izuku," she said. She would have just got a response saying, "Yeah, I'm good, let's get this bomb," Izuku said, as Izuku holded her in a bridal position, making her blush, as Izuku threw his power into his legs at 5%, moving up to 6, to 7, to 8, as Izuku launched into the building, kicking Todoroki square in the face, knocking him out, as Yuri grabbed the bomb, making them win that match. As the day went on as normal, with them picking vice reps, Izuku being the first one, and Momo being the second one, like canon. Sorry if this felt rushed, I'm trying to go back to the detailed stuff about the demons, so this is the only way I can get to it in time. As Aizawa would have told all of their students the next day after that to get themselves prepared for the next day for the USJ. As this is where we're going to cut to the villain side of this story, as we cut to Shigaraki's and All For One's discussion about how the high-end Nomu should look like and be. Sir, I think the Nomu should be more All Might ready. I know, Shigaraki, but we need to prepare the Nomus because you know how the demon clans are and how they act. We need to get them prepared for that type of day to make them strong enough so they can't defeat us. And once I have this done, I'll become the new Demon King, with All For One clutching his hand in his fist, as All For One let out loads of amounts of bloodlust, making everyone in that room shit themselves with fear. As Shigaraki would have just said, Master, but how are we gonna do this though? We don't have access to demon DNA. Actually, we do, young Shigaraki. We got it from a young girl named Yura. She's the Demon Queen's daughter and the Demon King's daughter as well. If we can get more from her, we can easily overthrow the Demon King. As Shigaraki would have just replied saying, but the Demon King's 50 million times stronger than her. How the hell are we going to get one goddamn sample from her when her skin is impenetrable? Shigaraki said. Well, Shigaraki, nothing's impenetrable. We'll find a way. Well, since their fight with All Might, I actually managed to get a little bit of samples of her blood. And I've realized enough pressure can actually make her bleed. So, we just have to apply more pressure with the Nomu. With the Nomu having little bits of demon DNA inside of him, we should be able to, per se, kill the daughter and make the Demon King come to us. We want this so the Demon King can just strike a deal with us. If we can trick him to see his daughter still alive, we can sort of get our way. All For One said with a grimacing grin, or grin you would like to say, that would look deformed, as most of that went on like normal standards for villains, discussing how we're going to get the Demon King's blood into the Nomus. As we cut back to the next day with Izuku Midoriya's point of view in mind, as Izuku and everyone else would have actually walked to school that day, as most of everyone was actually arriving late and early at the same time, as all the students would have discussed where they would be going for their field trip. Maybe it'd be Universal Studios Japan. That'd be cool. As most of the students would have said, no, they won't be taking us to something that exquisite. They would have probably taking us to a battle training facility, Bakugo said, growling in anger. As everyone else would have just agreed on that, but they could be wrong, as most of them had this thought at the back of their heads, feel like something was going to happen that would be wrong today, as everyone would have gone to surround the tables and sat down before Aizawa came in. Aizawa slung open the doors and told all of his students to hurry up and get changed. They'll be going to the USJ. Hell yeah, we're going to the Universal Studios Japan, Kirishima said. No, we're not. We're going to the battle training facility known as the USJ. As Bakugo stood up saying, Ha! God, you extras! You owe me money! Bakugo said, shouting, as everyone else went to go get changed. As for Izuku's hero costume, it would have slight upgrades with his Season 2 outfit now, because of his extra braces in his legs, so he can use one for all, a little bit more proficient when he launches from his knees. As Izuku started to launch a little tiny bit to jump into the air to see how the new knee pads were. They fit like gloves and they felt like them as well. Izuku was actually jumping up and down in his set, so this setting area basically, trying to get himself warmed up and nice and stretched. As Aizawa told everyone to hop onto the bus in single line, as Ida would have copied and reciprocated what Aizawa was doing. As everyone went onto the bus in single line, them being greeted with seats that are in canon. They sit normally, with Yuri sitting the side of Izuku and Natsu. As this is where we're gonna leave our video today. Ha! JK, keep on going, my guy. As their bush ride to the USJ would have reciprocated like canon, with Izuku having chat with his fellow classmates like Sue, Kirishima, and everyone else, talking about how Izuku's quirk resembles All Might. As this is where we leave the video off today, guys. This was a 30-minute one, as promised. Sorry I haven't been uploading consistently, you know, college and everything starting back up. It's gonna be a lot awkward to upload like that, so I'm gonna try and upload 2 videos a week, plus my Twitch and plus my second channel. As thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all later. Make sure you subscribe to the 3rd channel, link below. And also one last thing I forgot to mention, I'll be live on Twitch by the time this video is out. Goodbye.